Hi, welcome to the 1 in 20 show. I'm your host, Evan Rogers, and today I wanted to clarify a little bit about what the 1 in 20 show means, because a lot of people have been confused by the meaning, because I guess I never outright said it. Basically, our mission statement for the show is: statistics say that 1 in 20 Americans will become millionaires. We don't believe success is measured by money, but by seeing your dreams come to life. The 1 in 20 show seeks to promote up-and-coming as well as established individuals who are striving to meet their goals and become the 1 in 20. Each interview is a compelling and authentic look at our guests' lives and unique path in order to inspire listeners to pursue their own passions with success. So that clears the air for you. If you had no idea what this was about, or you're wondering what the niche is and everything, there's your little explanation. Today, I am joined by one of my biggest inspirations and friends, Zach Kemper. Zach is a filmmaker and actor who created and starred in his very own short film entitled A Song for Your Mixtape, which was awarded Vimeo Staff Pick and collected a total of 332,000 views on Vimeo and YouTube. He has also directed multiple stage shows and cabarets, including Sudden Vision and Chaos Clarity, alongside many of our talented friends and performers. Along with all of this, Zach is a wonderful photographer who expresses himself beautifully through it. He is fresh off directing the stage version of Willy Wonka and Newsies for the kids at Catskills West Summer Camp in Beverly Hills, California, and is currently waiting for his latest acting work to be released in Hollow Bedrooms, a film by Omar, Salas, Zamora, and the Arbor Company. He's going to be sharing about how important it is to get your education, especially in the arts, and why stepping away from your art for a time is very healthy. Zach? Well, I feel like that intro was like the epitome of you and like everything you're doing. I wrote that this morning.
Pretty good intro.
How's it been? I know you've been like all over the place busy.
Yeah.
And this will kind of lead into our whole discussion today, but just how have you been? How are things going for you? Anything?
I feel like I'm finally like catching my breath the past like week and a half.
Yeah.
It was crazy summer.
Yeah.
Really busy.
Oh gosh.
And
lament.
now
Summer's leaving us.
I know.
Which is sad.
I know, and I'm so used to having a relaxed summer, and this summer was the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
But now I feel like I'm catching my breath and ready for more.
Awesome. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So let's start with the summer camp that you got to do this summer. What was that entire experience like for you? Just like break it down, maybe how you started it and like all the effort you had to put in and everything.
Well, I came in a week late too. So like the first week of camp I wasn't there for. So that was the audition process for Willy Wonka that I wasn't a part of. And when I got in, I started on Monday and started right into rehearsals. And like this was a 4-day a week. We had a field trip once a week. So that took away 1 day of rehearsals. We had 4 hours of rehearsal basically a day.
Wow.
So it was a really short rehearsal
really short
process, but like through it all I learned so much about like being decisive, making decisions, kind of seeing how kids are looking at me like, okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
And explain it to me because I don't really get it. So I had to say it like 4 times.
Yeah.
But after Willy Wonka, then I had a week off.
Yeah.
And then I went back in for Newsies, and for Newsies I feel like I had a lot more control over like what I was going to do. I didn't feel like I was thrown into the fire as much.
Yeah. And you said it was 75 kids for Willy Wonka.
Yeah, 75 kids for Willy Wonka and then 40 kids for Newsies.
Right. And it was at Greystone Mansion.
Yep.
In Beverly Hills, which is really, I feel like that's a really neat opportunity for those kids to just come and like try their hand in some theater. It's just a different day camp.
I feel like it's truly like iconic. I remember walking up the stairs one day with the kids and thinking like, wow, like to have your imagination be alive here in this place, in this setting must be unreal, because I know like as a kid, for me, if I were to go someplace cool or special, like I would just like all of these things would be coming up in my mind about like playing pretend, and then here they are at this like beautiful home. It's huge, and they get to spend every day here like playing. And
what an opportunity to be.
And
cool
so many
place.
of those kids come back every year, like they love it so much. So it's a really special environment.
That's really neat. That's really neat. What were some of the challenges working with the younger kids versus I like just the show that we did that I was a part of, Sudden Vision. It was like at least you were kind of working with your peers.
With people I knew, especially like people who I've known. I feel like I was able to communicate a lot easier with my peers. What I learned with kids is having to explain things in a more broken down way and not like I'll say a word that I just think that they know and they're like, what does that mean? And I'm like, oh, you don't even know what that word means. Like I have to really like take a second to figure out what it is, and that means for me to know what I want so I can really break it down in a clear way. But there was that, but I actually found that kids are also really, really smart, and they want to learn and they want to be good. They don't want to go on stage and not be good. So
which is cool.
It's really fun.
Right.
And so for the most part, it was just learning how to not talk to them like I'm talking to older people.
Communication is huge with just with everything, right? Especially with kids. Like it's like thinking about the language barrier, like how much you've learned and how many words, and that's crazy, and then having to dumb it down like 4 levels,
and then repeat it 5 times
until they like
until it really sticks with them.
And so like with all of that, how did that make you, do you feel like, how did that make you a better director? Because I know it's even hard, like doing a show with your peers, or like I just finished up that show that I just directed, and it was kids that were like at the most 4 years younger. And even then I was like, oh my gosh, there's a gap, you know, like I'm about to graduate college this year. And it was like, okay, that's really crazy. You know, these kids aren't even in school yet. So how was it like going way down
to like 8-year-olds,
like, and how did you get them to like get that energy and come out on stage every time? And you know?
I think what I loved was that like I was actually becoming friends with like these 7 and 8-year-olds, and like every day they would come and Mr. Zachary, and like I would end up like they wanted me to talk to them like they were my age. They wanted that, and so I found that, you know, it was pretty wild, and I learned a lot about creating something that is for everybody, and that and so like with Willy Wonka, it was easy for them. I was like, it's candy, you get to go into a world, this big place full of candy, you're excited, that's exciting, like that's exciting. And for like the girl who was playing Willy Wonka, I wanted her to have like a lot more power and presence in her, so I was just showing her like videos of powerful people, like making speeches, and I think she started to really get that too. And then with Newsies, it was a lot of like having to do it for them, like get up and like we're on strike, like they're not gonna take our money, like I had to like really show them like what it meant to like for someone to take their money away, and I think that, and then I had to like sit them down and read to them about the true story, that how this actually happened, and about the kids who actually did this, and they were like, one of them was like, wait, so Pulitzer is a real guy who like made them work harder and like took their money away? He can do that? And I was like, yeah, he can do that. Like, people now can still do that. Welcome to the real world. So it was a lot of like having to. I realized that I wasn't working with people who would go home and find this information for themselves. I had to do it. I had to help them get there because they were so young, and I think that made me a better director, because it made me look for the things that were the specific things that were gonna help them, and not just some general thing.
Totally. And I feel like it also trains you to weed through your overall viewpoint for whatever the show is gonna be, and it makes you realize like, okay, if I can say this concisely, and Erin Chalakian was on the show last episode, and she was talking about how it was so interesting for her to learn that you want to bring whatever knowledge you have in a small way to the actor, so that the actor finds it in a way of discovery throughout the process, because then that builds like such a, you know, overwhelming excitement and connection to the show. So all that to say, that's wonderful, like working with kids and everything is amazing. But your time to yourself, and I know I'm a big advocate of this as well, because I feel like I find myself kind of falling into a trap of maybe doing too many things all at once, or even just not prioritizing myself in the way that I'm not giving myself any downtime.
Right.
And I know you were telling me that was like a big thing that happened in your life in the last year.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't know, how did you go about that? How did that all start? You know, like when did you like, oh my gosh, I need to calm down?
I think what I realized was, as an actor in LA, you're not always gonna have, like, unless you're Timothy Chalamet, like, you're not gonna have things thrown at you all the time.
Right.
And I learned that's okay. And I learned that there are other things that I can do to fill my creative energy and needs. And I think that I learned that it's okay. Like, there was a lot of, like Zed was talking about, he took a long break before he released his new music this year, and it's like, for me, some of his best music. And
it definitely is. Definitely.
And he was like, you just need a break as an artist sometimes to, like, kind of sit with yourself and think about what you want to put out into the world and what is exciting for you. And I think for acting especially, I never want to feel like I don't love it. And I think that some people start to not like it as much when they're, like, constantly putting themselves out there and getting rejected, and then having that one thing where it's, like, good for a week and then you're going right back into that process. I wanted to find other things that would help me fill my creative time. Right.
So how did you do that?
Well, photography, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that's been my biggest thing, is that's still something that I can, like, same with, like, directing. I get to choose, like, what I'm gonna shoot, and I get to be in charge of it. As opposed to acting, you're not in charge of, you're, like, the director's telling you what they want. And
totally.
And so with photography, I found that. I've also found it a lot with dance. That's just, like, something I can go out and, like, that's also just a great workout. So it makes me feel
such
good.
An expressive medium as well.
Yeah.
But I can see that comes up a lot on the show with just the people that we've been having on, like Noah Azuna was on and Jimmy Moreno was on, and
love them
guys. Amazing. We're so blessed to have such a great community of people and friends. But they have spoken to that, in that being an actor can be so demoralizing. Because of exactly what you said. You're not really in control of the subject matter necessarily, or the direction of the show, right? Because you're there to do the director's will. And I think in a lot of ways that can be the bane of some actors' existence. Maybe that's another reason why so many actors go on to try to direct.
I think that's exactly why. I think it gets to a point where the actor wants to make decisions that get to actually happen, instead of like, I have an idea, and then it's, like, shot down right away. It's like, and I think that's why I've also really loved I never really thought I was like, I'm gonna direct. And I think everything that has happened with directing for me has happened really naturally, and all of those experiences have been amazing for me, and it's definitely something I don't want to ever stop. Like, right after camp was over, I was like, I read, like, 3 plays, and I was like, okay, I need to find something that I can just do. I don't need to wait for someone to ask me to do something.
And that, I think you're mentioning that to me just over the material you were giving me for this episode, is that you were like, you're itching to get back out there, but is it the right time? Like, I think and you can speak to this right now before we kind of get into more details, but with this script that you had for 7 months, and wasn't it for
Hollow Bedrooms?
Hollow Bedrooms. You had it for 7 months.
I had it for
and that
so
was like,
long.
Wasn't that during school? And and like, that was the only
Yeah.
thing you were really doing at that time.
So I had auditioned for a film that Omar was directing, like, I think 2 years before that.
Okay.
And then randomly one day he was like, I have a script, I'm gonna send it to you, look over the part of Nolan. And then
That's neat.
I read it, and then we went out to dinner, and he was like, I'm not gonna have you audition for this, like, this part's yours if you want it. And I was like,
wow,
absolutely.
Yeah, I'll take it.
What a great way. Like, don't have to, like, sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Not a problem. And
Awesome.
and then the film is it's a really great film. It's a bunch of different parts, and so he was finishing up the last part that he had just finished, and so I had the script for a long time, and then he had to go through the casting process for all of the other parts in that part of the script, and I was a part of that, so which was really neat, getting to go to all the auditions.
The table readings and stuff. Yeah,
it was really fun. But overall, it got to a point where I was like itching to make the movie. I was like, it was sitting with me for so long, and I didn't feel the need to like have to do anything else because I had this part. I didn't want to go out and find other things. I was busy with school. And by the time we filmed it, it was 3 overnight shoots in a row, so it was like at 12-hour nights, right in a row, and then I had to go back to camp the first day, so I literally filmed Sunday night from like 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. and then drove to camp for the first day of Newsies, and then was up like, and I was so I was like, this is the life.
You need a night and a half to be able to deal with kids.
To recover.
So
but
that must have been really
it was.
Wow.
I actually ended up being fine. I thought I was gonna be miserable. I ended up being fine. And then, so then when we got to filming, it was really cathartic, and like I'm excited to see what it looks like.
But that's wonderful. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and I think it's interesting because one thing that I definitely think I picked up from you in our time, like collaborating and just knowing each other, was that there's no limit to what you can do, in the sense that, like you said, you were striving after trying to do another thing, and nothing was going to hold you back from that, because to be honest, I mean, the only thing that holds you back is money most of the time.
Always.
But I mean, besides that though, if you have time and you have the right people in your life that surround you and you want to try an art form, go try it.
Yeah.
I'd only acted in musical theater shows, and I'd never directed one until I just wanted to try it when my brother brought it up, and I was like, I'll go try it. And this show, I just kind of had the idea. I was like, I want to do a show, a podcast thing. And it just birthed itself, because I was like, well, it's another thing to do this summer. And I think I learned a lot of that from you, because you're a couple years older than me. And I feel like I've modeled myself under your direction in a lot of ways in your artistry. But I wanted to go into a little bit, working together, now that we were talking about collaboration, working together on Trapped, the vision that I had, I think we were talking about that probably 2 years ago now. It's been a while. It's coming up on it.
2 years?
Almost.
I feel like it's longer.
Yeah. Feels like a long time ago. But we shared such a interesting vision and it's not a vision, it's real life.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was valuable to bring this up, to talk to you about it and how you handled it, because a lot of people really struggle with depression and like major anxiety issues. And for me in high school, that senior year, when I wrote the film, and it was basically just a monologue that I wanted to turn into like a voiceover, little short. And I wanted to go to you when I thought of it, because I knew that you shared a lot of the same feelings. And that whole thing for me was all about feeling totally lost and just hitting rock bottom, because I was so depressed. And I think a lot of it for me was self-inflicted. I think I did a lot of it to myself, but in some ways life is just tough when you're about to come over that hill, like high school to college. I think that might be one of the biggest struggles, and then maybe college to workplace. But
transition times are hard.
Exactly. But I wanted to ask you, I know you shared similar feelings with me on that film. How did you channel it, not necessarily in the film, but like also in real life? Like how did you handle that? Because it's hard. You feel like you're all alone.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I came to terms with all of that semi-ly. Like when I finished Mixtape, I was like, I don't want to always. I think a lot of what I went through was self-inflicting too. Like I think we share that too, and I would just like let myself like sit in it and not really do anything about it. And I realized once I started going to school and kind of.
And you went to Pace, right?
I went to Pace for a year for my acting, and then after that I decided that if I was going to get a degree in something, it would be for something that I needed a degree to do it in. And so now I'm studying sociology, which is
awesome.
which has helped me a lot as an actor.
Yeah.
And as an artist, more so as an artist.
Yeah.
Being informed and what kind of art I should make that will actually make social change, because as an artist, I think we want to change something.
Exactly.
And
I mean, if you're not making a statement through your art, then it's not really,
Yeah, and I think sociology has kind of led me in a direction that helps me see things clearly and see what I need to change, and if I can do that through art, then I'm so happy.
Absolutely.
And so, to bring it back to what I think that the more educated and knowledge I get from outside, the less I stay inside of my head, and the more I just like continue to express on the outside, the less I'm on the inside. And it's like an everyday practice.
Oh yeah.
But it's not, but it's definitely helped me a lot to be in school and to and not be afraid to try other things. And I love that you said that. Because sometimes I think that's my biggest thing, is like being afraid, but I'm also pretty good at like stepping over that and getting over it and just doing it. And
you have to, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
otherwise you don't do anything.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even Mixtape, in a lot of ways I think that inspired me with Trapped as well, because I felt like I could finally share that message, because I knew it's not necessarily that it never been done, because it definitely has. Depression has been exemplified in many films, but to know that somebody in my circle, somebody I was like I had looked up to, was doing something like that, I was like, okay, well, maybe this is my way to beat it. Writing it down and putting it out there.
Did it not help? Because I think for
100%.
Mixtape, it really helped me. Like, it really helped me get out of it.
Right. Well, and that was like a campaign also for like suicide prevention.
Yeah.
If people didn't know that like you attach the hotline at the end.
The Trevor Project.
Yeah, Trevor Project. Yeah. And that's wonderful. Like, oh my gosh. I think in a lot of ways, we mentioned just with social media, especially, how introspective, and that movie 8th Grade that came out. I haven't seen it yet, but I know everything about it. It's
so
wonderful.
good.
And it's like that, though.
It's good.
It's a comment on the times and how, how your phone, this thing, can ruin you in a lot of ways, because you become so self-absorbed. And I think it's valuable, I think it is valuable for sure to have, to be able to, like, believe in yourself and what you're doing. I 100% believe that, but I think in a lot of ways it can be very dangerous to be worried about how you're looking every day. And you know what I mean? That's kind of what that film said, and that's what our films kind of talked about. But absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you felt like you beat a lot of it because of Mixtape, but I did with Trapped. Yeah. I was like, I expressed it. I don't need it anymore.
Yeah, I think I learned a lot about it, and after expressing it, I was like, okay, I think that part is out of me now. I think that's why so many artists do things. They want to, their whatever medium that it is, they want to figure out what's going on with them, and so they express it through, whether it's songwriting or photography or art or whatever it is. I think that's why artists do that, is they want to figure out what it is, and once you've kind of put it out there in that form, then you've kind of figured it out. At least, like, hypothetically, you figured it out.
Yeah, you figured it out, and then at the same time, other people have figured you out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine what that feeling was like for you. I mean, in the hundreds of thousands of views on that project that you did, and that must have been therapeutic in itself, because I know it picked up a lot of coverage, and it went to Outfest, and all of that stuff. And I'm sure, did that help? Like, did that kind of help you, or like?
I think it helped me on the like, okay, I'm not like, it's okay that I put it out there like this. Yeah. People do feel the same way, or they connect to it at least on some level, and so, I mean, it was exciting it was more exciting because of all of the stuff that was happening. But I think now, when I think back of it, it's like, it's kind of scary that so many people also connect with that, because it's a sad thing to connect with. And
it's almost like you don't want, that's a weird duality, because you almost don't want people to,
it's like, so many people feel for this. That, I think that says a lot for, as our society. Like, we need to figure out a way for, as a society, we're not so sad and so, like, introspective and so I think there's definitely other places in the world where it's not like that.
No, it's just, I almost wonder if that's just from the mentality of the country, our country just being freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And it definitely is. I mean, it's the best place to live in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, maybe that's also our karma because it's so hard to, you know how it is. I mean, nowadays it's so hard to say anything. But I think that the cool thing that I really appreciate about you as an artist, like a multifaceted artist, is just that you are open with yourself in the way that you're able to cope with whatever you're dealing with, and be honest about it and be like, hey, you know, I need a break. Like you mentioned, I need a break from my art for a while. I need to just do one project. And I think that to me is so much more respectable than somebody taking on 10 things and doing a crappy job at every one of them. Yeah. That to me is like, I don't know what you think about that, but I feel like that might have been part of your decision to.
I think that was also part of just my, like, definitely part of my way of staying like a healthy person. Definitely. Is if I was taking, because I am the kind of person that wants to take on a lot as well, but I realized that the more I take on, the like I stretch myself too thin, and then I don't take care of myself. I eat bad, I don't work out. Like, it's things that, like, those are really important, and like getting a good night's sleep, eating well, like working out, like those three things, if you're not doing those three things and you're taking on so many things, you're gonna start to either feel physically sick or mentally sick. And I think that, like, as a human being, we need to keep ourselves healthy, and then we can move on to being a successful artist or successful person in whatever way. Clearing
out all the
toxic
stuff. It is. I mean, physically and like mentally. You have to be able to, you know. So that's big for me too, because it's like, for me, it's a practice where now there's so much I do want to do, and I know how easy it is for me to start networking and doing all that stuff, but sometimes it's just not the right time. Sometimes I need to, like, give myself a day.
Timing is
to
everything.
Go out and be able to just clear my head and not worry. Even though it is fun to to keep going. Sometimes it's just not right. But on that note, I know you mentioned that you're hoping to go to Occidental. And you mentioned already sociology and everything, but I wanted you to kind of speak to why it's so valuable in the arts to actually have a true proper arts education, because I come from that background in high school where I was like taking classical art and all this stuff, and I kind of had a classical education with Latin and all that stuff. For me, it changed everything. It made me actually think and reason and wonder why art and framing and composition and everything is the way it is. So I wanted to hear from you what you're excited about for future, and are you going? I can't remember. Are you hoping to go? I can't remember.
I just had an interview. So that's like my plan. If I don't get in, I'm still applying to other schools for next fall. But overall, I think so. I went to Loxa Performing Arts High School, and that was all like theater. The academics wasn't like, it wasn't prevalent. It wasn't book oriented, right? And so I didn't have that chance to like think about other things, learn about other things, and now I feel like the more educated I become about other things, the more I want to produce art that is timeless and that can like stand for a really long time and that means something. And I think that so many great artists aren't just some of the greatest artists didn't go to school for film. They just made films and they're great. And some went to school for film. They made films and they're great. Some went for other, like, it's, education is such a wild ride. And I think that it's just important to get your education in something, especially as an artist, because I think the more informed you are, the better you are. As for actors, it's like, if you only know how to act, then are you only going to play are you only going to be good as an actor playing an actor in a TV show or a film? I think that for me, education has been my way of getting to learn about a bunch of different things and seeing how it always also relates back to my art form in whatever way it is.
Art that matters. That's big. A huge drive for the show, and I literally say this every time around the same exact time, but a huge drive for this show for me is that you have to do things that matter. especially in the arts.
Yeah.
Because the arts is such a, I literally talk about this every time, but the arts is such a medium where it's so unpredictable and it could be anything, right? Like it literally could be an expression of anything.
Yeah.
But for some people, that is the, you know, that's, I mean, for me especially, that's my life. Like
Right.
expressing myself through my art, but also having a practical side of knowledge behind that, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what you mean, because
Yeah.
too much freeform art is never.
Well, I think
the
also
best,
if you're, for me, I've learned is like what I've had to hone in on. What am I expressing? What do I want to express?
Right.
And I think that's where my education has stepped in, where it's like, this is what I want to express because I know about this thing that's going on in the world, and I want to make a footprint of change on it. And but other than that, like I think it's great for people who like just to be able to express themselves, and sometimes I was like, I want to express myself more, and figuring out how to do that is always a challenge. But I feel like school has always helped me kind of. When I feel like I don't know what to do, I kind of look to what I'm studying, and that kind of inspires something or sparks a flame in something that I want to do.
Well, and I can speak to that too. I mean, really, I don't really love going to school. Like, I don't really love doing all the gen eds and all that stuff. But I do know that my experience there in school and college has been really good for me. Yeah. Because it's a lifestyle thing too. You just learn so much about yourself.
You learn about getting, like, starting something and finishing something. You learn about work ethic. And if you like, for me, I wasn't a good student 3 years before I started at my, like, this education course of my life. Like, I wasn't a great student. I didn't have, like, this work ethic that made me want to do really well. And then all of a sudden, this, like, it just changed where, like, I have a really solid work ethic. I try really hard in school. I get good grades because of it. And so I think that it teaches you a lot about.
It's a thirst for, I think it's a thirst for reason. Yeah. Really. Yeah. More than anything, like, is taking U.S. history for the 5th time in your life. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, that's the worst. And I think that's what I don't like about school. I think when I went back to Valley, I was taking, like, classes, like, I took political science and sociology my first semester, and those were, and I took a history class that was like a history I haven't learned, a world history I haven't learned, but taking political science and sociology, like, totally was like, oh, I can learn about this in school. I don't have to just be taking English and math, and all of a sudden we were talking about behavioral sciences that don't really get taught in high school, at least the high school that I went to. And so that's what I was lucky that sociology was one of my first classes that when I went back, because it really immediately, like, grabbed a hold of me. Absolutely. I stuck with it, and it's been really rad.
Yeah. No, I think it's a sense of pride too, just to know that you did a lot of work. Yeah. For me, I'm thinking that right now. I mean, by the time I graduate, I'll have done like 120 units in 3 years. And to me, that blows my mind. Yeah. I can't believe how fast it goes.
Yeah. And for also, I dropped out my first year of school. And so, and I thought I was never going to go back to school. And so I feel like it's more of a second chance as well. And feeling like I want to prove something to myself, that I'm not like someone that drops out of things, and that I can finish something. Yeah. That's really important.
Even if it's not right away. Yeah. Exactly. Things taking
my time. Yeah. And, like, doing things that are right for me when the time is right is what I've learned. Yeah. Big life lesson.
And that's big about being your own individual, because you learn to be able to take that time for yourself, because ultimately you're living, and when it comes down to it, it's you. Yeah. Because we talk a lot about the populace and how, on this show, and how so many people are influenced by, badly influenced by what other people think of them. Yeah. And totally. I know you've dealt a ton with that, probably even personally, because I know I have, and it's like, it's destructive. Yeah. And at one point you just got to say, I'm doing this because I'm doing it.
Yeah, for me. Yeah. I think that's something that I think I learned that at a young age, that I was like, I'm going to do things for me and not care about what other people think. Right. Yeah. Otherwise, just like what you were saying, people get crippled with self-doubt, but not even because they're doubting themselves, because they think that other people are doubting them, and or that they can't do what other people are doing. Yeah. And it's just not true. And I think the further you stay away from things that make you feel like that, the more you feel grounded in who you are.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. I had a tangent I was going to go on. I can't remember what it was. But
Gotcha.
I totally, I think you probably answered what I was going to go on. That was probably what happened. But now that we're speaking about it too, like just the art forms in general and taking ownership of what you're going to be doing with your life, and to think, I mean, for me, I'm like so joyous to think that I'm going into the best years of my life. I'm about to graduate school. I'm about to be 21. I'm not 21 yet. I'm about to be 21, and like all these things are looking up.
Yeah, you are about.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Be excited.
I'm very excited. I'm just tired of this. I have a little bit of a different perspective on school just because I didn't stop. It was all the way through.
Yeah, I feel
and so I'm on year 15 or something. Yeah, and
that's
anyway,
fair.
It's fair. Yeah, I think it's fair because I don't know. I just don't see the value in all of the extra things that you have to do a 10th time.
Yeah, I understand that.
But anyway, I mean, regardless, I feel like I'm the most creative and inspired I've ever been this summer because I finally was like, no, I don't have to, because I toward the end of this last semester that I finished in May, I was so hardly focused on film.
Okay, yeah. So
and I didn't really think about opening it up, and I just didn't realize what kind of a monster I had become. That's all I was going to let myself do, and I wasn't really loving it 100%. I was going on pro sets like all the time, and I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do this all the time.
Yeah.
But then doing the musical and then doing this podcast.
That's
and,
what I'm saying. It's
opened
so
it
important to do other things so you still love the one thing that you really that made you start wanting to do any sort of art. Yeah, so being open to doing different things, I think also just will make you a better, like if you want to be a filmmaker, directing a stage show and doing a podcast is going to make you a better filmmaker in the end because you
understand.
And you have other perspectives. I think the more perspectives you have as a human being, the better you are going to be at in anything you do, because you're going to be way more open-minded. You're going to be way like just an open person. The more closed off you are, you're not going to be able to let other things in, and if you don't let other things in, you're never going to learn and you're never going to grow. And I think it's so important just to be open.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I remember now what I was going to say. But it's along those lines. It's you do have to do what's right for yourself, but you also want to look out for other people at the same time. You know what I mean? That's like a duality. You won't agree with everybody, but you do.
It's true.
The people that are around you that pour into you, that's a big thing for me. Is I get so like on a train and I just go. Yeah. That I forget the people that keep, like my parents or the people that keep supporting and inspiring, and it's like you just gotta remember that those people are there.
I think that's something important for me to remember. I think I'm always so much on my own train and that I forget about the people who have constantly been there. Yeah, it's a good reminder.
Yeah, it's great. I was gonna have you kind of maybe briefly speak to your time at Pace, just briefly, because we talk about all of these musical theater schools and acting schools on the show. What was that experience like for you? Like, you can totally be honest about it, because I know you didn't stay. So
well, I mean, overall, the program that I was in, I was in the BFA acting for film, TV, voiceover, and commercial, and we were the first class to have that BFA. They had a BFA acting program and a BFA musical theater program. That was the first emphasis. But we were like the guinea pigs for that.
Sure.
And so, I mean, overall, I made there's the greatest people over there. I love so many of those people that were in my class that I met at Pace. And like to this day, I'm still really good friends with my best friends from that school. The teachers were great. Everything, like the program itself was great. I think I was at a point where I went to 4 years of this school that was really rigorous in acting training, and then going to it again. I didn't see the purpose in doing it again and paying a lot of money to do it again.
A lot of money. That's the key.
And I just didn't see. I was a little bit blinded by like, I'm just doing this all over again, and I was eager to not be in school. I was eager to kind of just be like, I think in high school too, I didn't really want to go to college. So I think it was just me following the footsteps of everybody else. And
Yeah, I feel that.
And I mean, like,
sure.
I think it took me a really long time. Like, there's 2 years where I wasn't in school after that, where I beat myself up over leaving. And it wasn't until really the beginning of this year where I feel like everything's finally aligned, where, like, I was supposed to leave then for this to happen now. Like, it took a long time for me to feel like I made the right decision.
Absolutely.
But Pace itself is a great school. It's a great school if you're really willing to put all of your time and energy into your art form,
right, which you absolutely have to.
Yeah.
For those, I mean, that you don't pay that money.
Yeah.
If you're not committed.
And it's wild. Like, there'd be like days where we'd be up at 8 and then like start class at 8, we'll work out class at 8, and then be filming until 11:30 p.m. And so, like, it was very arduous, and I wasn't really. I was looking for something else at that time in my life, and but I also have kicked myself many a times for leaving. But I think I've definitely found why I left and what I'm gonna do. And
do you like New York?
Okay. I definitely like
some
LA.
Some people love
like,
LA, and some people love
I don't
New York.
hate New York, but it's small. It's very small. Like, you go into someone's apartment and you're like in the hallway, and like you can't move, and like and then as opposed to here, where like there's plenty of places where you're paying way less than what you're paying in New York, and you have so much more room. Like, the sun is out here. Like, you can like
all the time.
Like in New York, if you want to see the sky, you have to like literally look all the way up because you can't see because of the building. So like here, there's just like, and like you can go to the beach, you can go to the desert, you can go to the mountains. New York it's great, but it's like not LA.
City of LA sponsor Zach for that great message. No, I feel that 100%. I mean, it's a nice. I love it as a place to go because Broadway's there.
Yeah, it's a great place to visit so many for 3 days.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 3 days.
For 3 days, and then after that, I'm like, hey, coming home.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually, I think that's exactly how long I was there when I went there for Trapped, like 3 days. Yeah, and. It was perfect. You got to go to Broadway, and I don't know. I love the East Coast a lot because they have weather there, you know. Yeah. But I love
but like that's what I said, and then I experienced the coldest winter that New York had and since then, and I was like, this is awful. Like, I'd be in like such a good mood in my dorm, like nice and warm, and I'd walk outside and be like bitter cold, and it was just like, oh, this is not fun.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But New York is, I think there are definitely. I was just thinking about this actually like yesterday. I was like, man, I want to go back to New York just to visit. I think there's something in I love it because it does feel like home. The few times I've gone back, I've lived there long enough before in my life to when I go there, it's like, oh, I know what to do. I know where my places are. Yeah. I know who my friends are here.
We have a lot of friends out there now.
Yeah, and so I have
growing too.
I mean, it's crazy to me because I have like my friends that I had from college. And then from Loxa, who went to college there, and then now all of these kids from Santa Clarita, and like, it's a really awesome thing that it houses so many people. But I like it for a visit to like get some inspiration because
it is an inspiring place. Yeah. Manhattan is undeniably inspiring. There's nowhere like that.
It's just the living thing.
Yeah. Living is tough there. Yeah, I've heard it's a very hard thing to try to drive a car. Like, if you have a car, why would you? First of all, but
you have to pay for parking. Like,
the parking is a lot. Yeah. It's like hundreds a month, hundreds, maybe even close to 1,000. Yeah. I heard it's a lot. And then like Trader Joe's there is like
you shop in line. You shop and you get in line and you shop. Then you grab the things while you're in line. It's wild.
Crazy. It is crazy. That's wild. But I'm a huge advocate for the arts out here just because I think it's been kind of amazing how this city, which has grown so much, has been able to, I mean, people we know, so many of the people we know are going to top schools and doing their thing. And it's so exciting. It's so exciting to be friends with them.
Literally I was watching, okay, I have to share this. I was watching Grey's Anatomy yesterday, and I'm like getting back, like, I'm avid watcher of Grey's Anatomy. And this episode, like, was getting really good, and I was getting really excited. And then it revealed the character that they were building up to show, and it was my friend from high school. And I was like this is I was like, this episode is so good, and it reveals to be someone I know, and it was just like, it was such a satisfying feeling.
Oh my gosh,
to see someone do their thing, and someone that I always knew would do so well.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's really neat. I don't know. That's a big thing for this show. Is I think the more that I have people on here, I think you're probably the sixth video episode, seventh, something like that now. And it's so weird. It's like weird to have all of these different people from different walks of life that are all so connected still in this small community. Yeah. And it's I don't know.
It's cool. It's great that you're doing this, keeping the connection alive.
I figure why not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is my way of really bringing everybody in instead of just film or just theater. But
I like
anyway, let's kind of start winding back down. Sure. Let's talk about photography since we haven't talked about that yet. Something that I know you picked up how many years ago? 2, 3? Has it been
Probably
longer?
2. Like, I mean,
okay. I can't remember.
Like, really, me calling myself a photographer 2 years now.
2 years.
About 2 years now.
Yeah. What's the way that you feel you express yourself through photography? Because I was just thinking about this, and I know a lot of your photos that you've taken and edited and stuff. I think of them like art pieces because I think of my own the same way. Mm-hmm. Like, wow, this is a really cool moment I captured. There was so much going on here. It's like an art piece, right? And you talked about bringing a lot of like social aspects into your art. So what is that? How do you express that through photography and the people you shoot? And
the people I shoot, I always try to lean towards groups of people that aren't the norm that we think of in the society, like or just like any like marginalized group. I think it is important to just like show how great they are, and then I think I've always loved people and like having it. Like, I think the connection that I get through acting when I'm working with another actor, and then we have that moment of like have that eye contact, and we're creating a moment that's really awesome. I think I can do that same thing in photography when I'm taking pictures of somebody, and then we finally like find a moment where like we've connected, and I get to capture that moment. So I think that's the part that I really enjoy too, like just like finding moments in a photo shoot session, and all of a sudden it's like everything else kind of melts away, and it's just me and the model, and we're doing something that's never going to be done again. And I think that's what I love about it. I think overall I love taking portraits of people. I think that's my thing of portraits, like kind of capturing a look in their eye. And I think that's something that I'm good at, like, and I think that's why I like to continue to do it.
Yeah, you're very good at it.
Yeah, thanks.
Your photos are great. But I was gonna say it's so cool because you're another one of the examples of these people that I keep bringing in that have done so many different things, even in the last year or two. What is it about photography when it comes to like picking a shoot or your color palette, or like how do you go about composing the image, and what's your idea when you go through that?
For me, a lot of it is like I'm gonna see what happens. I try not to plan as much. I like although like sometimes I don't like plan anything at all, and I get a picture I really like, and then sometimes I'll like set a lot of things up, and then I really like it. And so I think it kind of depends on the person I'm shooting. If it's like a close friend and we're not like, because like sometimes I'll take pictures of somebody I don't know, and they come to my apartment, and it's like, oh, I have to like, this has to be like a formal, like I'm taking pictures. And then sometimes I'm hanging out with my friends and like, let's go take pictures, and we just go on a walk and we take pictures. And so I think it always depends. But I think overall when it comes to like picking pictures and editing them, I think I look for something that, like, I'll go through the pictures so fast, and then like it'll just be like one that stops me, and I'll stare at it for a really long time, and then that's how I know it's like the one. It's just the one that like makes me stop and stare. And but for planning, like I like to kind of just see what happens for the most part. I can see how that's an area that I need to grow in figuring out like what I'm gonna hone in on in a photo, because there's sometimes like I'll be looking at pictures and I'm like, how did they even think to do that? It's like the simplest thing. Like,
well, and sometimes you don't even pick up on it in real time, because it's like,
it's true.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know I could even make that face.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah,
or make
make that decision to
Yeah.
I don't know, I just saw a photo the other day of this tree that split in half and the model was standing in the middle of the tree, but everything about the picture was just so good, and I was like, I need to do I want to do that. I want to take that picture.
Right.
And then that's how I know it's a good photographer, if I see a picture and I was like, I wish I took that picture.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think it's also about doing things that you didn't think to do,
Mm-hmm.
and in the moment when you're like, oh, I should do that, I don't really want to, no, I'm gonna do it because I think it's gonna probably make a better photo. Or adding things in all the time, I think is a good idea to do when you're taking pictures.
And having variety.
Yeah.
Right. I figure we can chat about this in a way where, for whoever is watching who knows photography and all that stuff. But I feel like we can chat about this in a way where it's how do you edit? When you come to the edit, what do you try to bring out? Are you trying to make something really sharp? Does it just depend on the shoot?
I think it's really, I try to do aesthetically pleasing things. That's what I kind of think. What aesthetically, what is going to be pleasing to the eye. Yeah. And so I don't like to mess around with it too much. But I do like to play around with the color and with the tones and the highlights and the shadows. I do like to mess around with the color, but not as much.
Right. Do you use presets? I can't remember.
I used to when I first started taking pictures. I used to.
Yeah.
And then I didn't have that account anymore that had all the presets in it. Yeah. It went away, and
so it challenged you probably.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden I was I can't just go and click through a bunch of presets and then change it how I want it to be, adjust it how I want to, which so many people do.
And I think that is what maybe sets you apart.
And I think
that's the next level.
Yeah, maybe. I think I was really I was kind of bummed about it, and kind of made me not want to try hard. And then I was like, no, this is an opportunity for you to grow.
Oh, for sure.
And to become a better, not just a better photographer, but a better editor using Photoshop. And I think I definitely have learned a lot of things from that. And although there's times where I just want to go and buy a preset package, but I don't. I stop myself.
I'm curious. This is more of a creative question, but I'm curious what you see as more valuable, because I guess this also kind of depends on the shoot. But I've used to do a lot of faded film look. Mm-hmm. I was a lot heavier in that, but I started realizing how flat that made everything.
That's when I first started taking pictures. I was like that too.
Yeah, but sometimes it has an okay look. I think it can look cool, but
it has to be the right photo for it.
Right.
I think there is definitely a time and a place for that edit.
It's tough though. It's sometimes it's a look, but see this stuff that I've been learning a lot too, from a cinematography standpoint. The more I talk to directors of photography, they're like, it's easy when people say they want to look. Most of the time it requires no effort, and it's just the videographers who go out and then say, oh, a cinema camera, yeah, okay, I'll just do it the same way I do everything else. There's no artistry in that. There's no composition. And it's also thinking about the dimensionality of the piece. I don't know if you think about that now.
I think I'm always trying to. It's never oh, I'm gonna think about this now. Think about this now. It's more when something happens naturally, and then oh, I should probably continue to hold on to that, the way I'm thinking here.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's big. I mean, you want it to feel like real life. Yeah. If people don't sometimes, if people don't understand, the eye picks up on so much more than you would even imagine it would, in film. The thing that I think about when we watch movies so much is that you'll notice when somebody does something bad.
Oh yeah.
An actor or the crew or something. But a true storyteller is somebody who has all of their stuff down to a science, and you never have to think about it when you're watching.
It usually feels I mean, the more work I've done, the easier it is for me to pick up on things that are happening that aren't so good.
It's almost annoying.
Yeah,
I get that way too.
I mean, I wish that I could just sit back and watch. Did you see that? And the person I'm watching was no. I'm ugh. But
for me, it's framing and all that stuff.
For me, it's just I'm starting to feel that way more and more. The past 2 years, I felt that way more and more. I still really focus in on acting and the choices actors make and the things And I think that's where I was like, oh, I could direct, because I'm seeing all of these things where it's like, if you just made another choice, you wouldn't be doing that. Or like, and then I do pay attention to like continuity. I think that's something I've paid a lot of attention to. Yeah, that's
big. That's why they have a specific position for continuity on set. Yeah, it's such a huge thing. Well, kind of in closing, because I think we've been going for a while, even though it doesn't seem like it. What are some future plans? Because I know. So when does this film come out too? You can do like a little promo for it if you want.
I think. Well, we still have. Like, I'm not wrapped on it yet. I still have one more day to go in on. Because, like I said, so Hall of Bedrooms is broken up into a few different storylines, and so Omar filmed those storylines each like as a stand. So like technically there's like 3 short films right now, but they're all gonna intertwine. Okay. And he has one more to shoot, and he's gonna do that later this year.
What's the synopsis? Do you have it kind of? You're not the director, so.
And it's like focuses in on one night in Los Angeles. Okay. Kind of the themes are just like love, addiction, a lot of dark themes and kind of like the hard parts about living in LA as somebody our age and doing things. It's a really bleak type of a film. It's really, I love it though. I'm excited.
Sometimes it can be like hauntingly beautiful.
And there's definitely, I've seen bits and pieces of it, and it's like some of these like anti-heroes are like you don't want to like them, but then you like them. You like them, and then you hate yourself for liking them.
That's that show Riverdale is like that. Yeah. If you watch
Riverdale. Well, it's funny. So many people. We shot one shot, and someone was like, "This looks like Riverdale," and then I put the picture up on Facebook, and another person was like, "This looks like Riverdale," and I was like, "It's like that."
It's in a diner, isn't it? Yeah. I'll put some pictures up from your Instagram on the episode so people can see it. But how about you personally? What are you thinking for?
I think I filmed a pilot for a web series like last summer, and I just started talking with the director, and we're gonna film some more episodes.
Awesome.
And then I haven't written anything in a long time.
Yeah, you thinking about it?
I think I've been having this one dream over and over and over again, and every time I wake up I'm like, that could be a really good something. And that's how I got Mixtape, was from a dream. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, probably gonna I'm going back to school soon, so I'll be in school. I'm dancing in school, so I'll be dancing a lot more.
Awesome.
I think I'm just going to be focusing in on like getting my mind and body in shape, and still taking pictures and doing things just for myself, like writing and pictures.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you need that time to be able to move on, right? Yes. And be able to keep creating. Yeah. Well, Zach, everything you touch for me turns to gold, so I'm very thankful that you're my friend and that you're on the show. And we're really excited about the things that are coming. I've got a lot of really cool things that are on the horizon, and this show is funny because it's everybody that's been on is so multi-talented, and there are some people that I'm trying to get on that will help, make it more of like a well-rounded show. Right now it's like theater and film, which is not wrong, but there's a lot of cool things that are coming that I cannot disclose yet, that are going to be really neat. So thank you guys for watching. Follow along on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at 1 in 20 Show. Follow Zach at Title for Society. A Title for Society on Instagram. And thank you guys for watching.